Hello, this is Katie, and today I'm going to be talking about the Brown v. Board of Education case and some key aspects. But first off, let's talk about civil rights and the civil rights movement and some participants involved. The civil rights are the rights given to each individual for freedom and equality of all aspects of life. The civil rights movement was caused by African Americans fighting for equality. When I think of the civil rights movement and the people who made the most impact, the three that come to mind are Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Rosa Parks. These were some African Americans a part of this movement who changed race segregation in three different ways. For example, Mr. King was a nonviolent activist who sought out to find equality for African Americans. Malcolm X, on the other hand, wanted the same changes as Dr. King, but used violence to get his point across. Rosa Parks did not want to move to the back of the bus and started a boycott. Something they all had in common was the demand for equality. Now that we know the basics on what the people involved in the civil rights wanted, let's move on to the Brown v. Board of Education's case. Some background information: it is a United States Supreme Court case in which the court declared state laws establishing separate public schools for black and white students to be unconstitutional. The decision overturned the Plessy v. Ferguson case of 1896. The Brown v. Board of Education made it illegal to deny education to people of color. The full case name: Oliver Brown, et.al. v. Board of Education, took place in 1954. The plaintiffs in Brown asserted that the system of racial separation, while providing separate but equal treatment of both white and black Americans. In 1951, a class action suit was filed against the Board of Education of the state of Kansas. The plaintiffs were 13 parents on the behalf of their 20 children. The suit called for the school district to reverse its policy of racial segregation. The Board of Education operated separate elementary schools under a 1879 Kansas law, which permitted districts to maintain separate elementary school facilities for black and white students in 12 communities with populations over 15,000. The district court case ruled in favor of the Board of Education, citing the U.S. Supreme Court set in Plessy v. Ferguson 163 U.S. 537, which had upheld a state law mandating separate but equal segregated facilities for black and white in railway cars. The three-judge district court panel found that segregation in public education has a detrimental effect on children, but denied relief on the ground that the black and white schools were equal with respect to building, transportation, and educational qualifications of teachers. A significant change of the Brown v. Board of Education event caused was allowing all students to get their education in a non-segregated environment, which led to the end of legal segregation. The most important people that were involved in this case are the 13 plaintiffs with 20 children who wanted their basic human rights of having an education without being segregated. The NAACP, also known as the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, was a group that significantly helped and was involved in the Brown v. Board of Education case to assist the civil rights movement because the NAACP was a committee fully set on having equality in all aspects of life, such as African American educational rights. That's the end of this podcast, and to wrap your head around everything I've talked about, here is a little summary of the Brown v. Board of Education case. Basically, everyone should be allowed the same educational rights. The Deep South was not happy, and this overturned the Plessy v. Ferguson decision.